The ARCA Menards series at Daytona begins now.
Daytona International Speedway. If you love speed, this is the place to be. And for a driver, a win here can change your life. This is where dreams come true. Welcome to the Lucas Oil 200, driven by General Tire at Daytona on FS1. Absolutely beautiful day here at Daytona as we take a look back at the last 10 ARCA Menards Series champions. Last year, of course, Ty Gibbs, but you see there in 2016, Chase Briscoe was the champion. And oh, how far he has come. And we are so happy to welcome you inside. I'm Jamie Little. Chase Briscoe, as we just mentioned, is to my left. And Phil Parsons, once again. Chase, happy to have you back. Yeah, Rookie of the Year last year in the Cup Series. We mentioned your championship. What does winning races and a championship do for a career?
Well, it's huge, and you know, the ARCA Series in the first part is all about getting experience and learning, going to these racetracks that you will run in the Cup Series. So for me, it was the biggest thing ever to go there, to learn these racetracks, learn stock cars. My fourth ever pavement race was here at Daytona in this race. So, you know, that was only 6 years ago. So winning in this series, winning a championship is really what got me to where I'm at now. So without that foundation, I don't know what I'd be doing.
Well, you've come a long way, my friend. Phil, this is the most diverse field we have in motorsports, hands down. 36 drivers in the field, 18 to 79.
Yeah, we have to do Larry Mack, who just on Race Hub said we had 18 to 66. Benny Chastain is 79 years old. Daniel Dye just barely 18, barely old enough to race here. But what a great series this is. Always been really a developmental series, just like it did for Chase Briscoe. We saw Ty Gibbs last year dominate the series along with Corey Heim. They both graduated. Corey's back here for this race, but he's going to run most of the races in Kyle Busch's truck. Ty Gibbs full-time Xfinity. But we have so many people that opportunity exists for. A couple ladies I'm going to keep my eye on. We've got two really talented ladies, Tony Breitinger in really good equipment, as well as Amber Balkan in good equipment. Tony Breitinger actually had the fastest car in practice, so I'm going to keep my eye on those ladies as well as a bunch of other kids and veterans that have been here and know how to get it done here at Daytona.
Yeah, you mentioned it. We have a lot of kids in the field. One of them, I'm going to call him a kid. He was here last year part-time. That's Nick Sanchez, and he solidified his talent in this series by winning the final race last year at Kansas. He's back. He's full-time, and moments ago, he caught up with our Kate Osborne.
Third year in the ARCA Menards Series. He was third in championship points. Nick Sanchez, that hard work is paying off. Rumor has it there's some breaking news. What is it?
Yeah, you know, I'll actually be doing my first Xfinity Series race in 4 weeks in Phoenix for BJ McLeod Motorsports, driving the number 5 Chevy.
Now, you are starting your second season here at Daytona, and that's going to be looking a whole lot different with your teammate Rajah Caruth beside you. How critical is having teammates here around Daytona?
Yeah, you know, super speedways, teammates are everything. You know, they make or break your race, and I think we lost some last year because of that, so I'm glad to have them on my side this year.
I can understand that this is a big deal for Nick Sanchez, Rev Racing, and what the future holds for him. Hopefully that confidence we see in the car.
Thank you, Kate. Yes, and Nick Sanchez starting 23rd today as you see drivers getting ready there. But so many different drivers to watch for today. Rev Racing, and she just mentioned it, what they're doing this year, a 2-car field. How about Rajah Caruth?
Yeah, he's a really good race car driver. You know, we've seen him have success in the lower series. I know we were talking earlier that Bubba Wallace is actually kind of his mentor, and I don't think there's very many better mentors around this place. Bubba's a really good super speedway racer. It'll be curious to see if Rajah can use those tips today.
And we talk about Rev Racing, talk about those two guys, Rajah Caruth as well as Nick Sanchez. How about some of the graduates from Rev Racing? Well, how about Kyle Larson?
Yeah,
Bubba Wallace, people like that. So Max Siegel is really doing a great job with that program, and he's building some talent there.
Yeah, and you talked about Rajah Caruth. He's only been racing for 3 years. He's been phenomenal, but now he's strapping in for his first time around Daytona. Let's now go downstairs, trackside, for the command to start engines.
And now, race fans, here to say the most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome Lucas Oil event coordinator, Greg Cazzo.
Daytona, say it with me! Drivers, start your engines!
And that That is how you fire up a field. That was awesome.
Daytona
All right,
just
so
has
what's it
that
like getting ready to
feel
race at
unlike
Daytona? Let's check
anything else.
out
You know, it's
our
just,
General
it's just
Tire
so
driver
big,
profile.
And, you know, the towers are so tall. So it's pretty, I don't want to say it's intimidating, but it's, you know, you understand where you are and the history behind it.
Racing, we started off right from the rip with the biggest race that we have.
When you pull in there for the first time, you really get the feel of like the height of the banking, and then you have the grandstands all around you.
Once you get in there and you see it, it's like, wow, it's definitely an insane experience for sure.
It's a place that, until you're there, just seems like this mythical place that's on TV. I swear I get the chills every time I take the first lap around there.
For me to be racing there with my own helmet for the first time is it's going to be pretty awesome.
80 laps to come. Green flag is out.
Last year, second place. The year before that was third. So I think this year's kind of lining up to be a first place finish.
The atmosphere at Daytona is pretty unreal, you know. Of course, we want to go back to back and make it the 5th win in a row for Venerini, which is pretty exciting for Billy and everybody. Just a surreal experience, just to see all the history there and be a part of that.
Since 1964, the ARCA Menards Series has raced at Daytona International Speedway. From close finishes to big wrecks, future NASCAR stars have made names for themselves in this series at this historic track. In 1979, Kyle Petty won the ARCA race at Daytona. It was Kyle's first ever stock car racing start, and he drove one of Richard Petty's discarded Dodge Magnums. The win catapulted Kyle's career. 2 years later, it was Tim Richmond who found victory lane. Richmond led 59 of 80 laps that day and beat stars such as Ken Schrader and Phil Parsons in what was his only career win in the ARCA Menards Series. Since Nelson Stacy's 1964 win, followed by Iggy Katona the next year, to Benny Parsons' win in 1969, all the way to Corey Heim winning last year, the ARCA Menards Series has been an important part of Speed Weeks, and the legacy continues today at Daytona.
And the history runs deep for the ARCA Menards Series here at Daytona. As you see the cars rolling off pit road, qualifying was yesterday. It was timed group sessions with a little bit of drafting. And in the end, it was that man right there, Corey Heim, capturing the pole to make it an all-Venturini front row. Well, as we take a look at the General Tire starting grid, let's dial up our pole winner, gentlemen.
Hey, Corey Heim, it's Phil Parsons up in the Fox booth. You got a copy? Well, last year you got pushed to victory by one of your teammates. You have 3 teammates again this year, but they're 3 different teammates. I'm sure you guys still have a plan.
Going to be on this number 20 Camry and Billy. Yeah, as I mentioned, there's other teammates around us here, qualified really good.
All right, buddy, we had a little bit of trouble with the radio. Good luck.
Well, as we know, those radios can be finicky on the back stretch. Had a hard time hearing us. We'll be able to check in with him later on as you see the cars making their way around. Well, there's a lot of inexperience in this field, as there should be. It's the developmental series. We have 14 Bounty of the Year challengers. Here's a look at them right here. Anybody stand out to you?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of really good race car drivers on here. You know, you have Rajah Caruth, you know, Tony Breidinger. Then you also have some people that, you know, are in some smaller teams like a Zachary Tinkle. So it'll be interesting to see who can go to the front today. And these rookies, I can assure you, are really nervous.
I think that 43 of Daniel Dye, he won here in the series last year at Berlin, dominated that race. So I think he's one to keep an eye on all year long, especially here today.
Definitely. Well, now let's check in, bring in our pit road reporters. We've got 2 of them covering all the action for us today. Let's kick it off with Josh Sims. Welcome, Josh.
Excited to be with the team, and someone that's very excited about today is Rajah Caruth, making his first start at Daytona and his first full season with Rev Racing in the number 6 car. He says because he hasn't been here before, he reached out to his network of friends and they gave him some advice on how to tackle this super speedway, and he feels like the 6 team has a very good plan for this thing. So today is a historic day for him, and it's been a historic week. Last week, he accepted the Wendell Scott Trailblazer Award for a driver who is breaking down barriers, someone who is doing great things in the sport, and that goes to a minority or a female female driver. He said this is an award he has wanted for 5 years. He was stoked to finally get it, and now his goal is to make sure he makes the Scott family happy. Kate?
Incredible story there, Josh, and we might be looking at a little David and Goliath action here today as well. Goliath holds Venturina Motorsports. They're fielding 4 cars. They qualified top 3, and they're looking for their 5th in a row here at Daytona. Who's the David? Well, any of those single car teams, including the number 18 of Drew Dollar. Now, though he was with Venturini Motorsports last year, the following year, he said, I don't think any of those Toyotas are going to really want to partner up with me in the drafting, so I'm looking for a drafting partner and anybody who can hold a line. He even said, I'm willing to be the Oprah of ARCA. You get a push, you get a push, you get a push. But he did say, I'd like a pull at the end. Guys?
The Oprah of ARCA. I like it. Hey, you need friends in this series, right?
Absolutely.
Well, we have some great onboards for you today. Riding aboard with the number 20.
Yeah, the Corey Heim General Tire onboard.
There's Greg Van Alst, 35 car. That's a CB Fabricating Chevrolet. This is a guy that said, I've got to go make a living before I can have enough money to race. And he did that, and he's here. I love it.
Number 30, Amber Balkan from Manitoba, Canada, running full time. She's on the Icon Ford. Bring us some great pictures. Look at that helmet.
Got a Canadian maple leaf on the front of that helmet.
Here's Daniel Dye in the Daytona'sGarage.com on board.
You know,
he's
his
actually,
crew chief,
yeah,
don't
I was
you?
going to say, he was actually the best man at my wedding, his crew chief, Chad Bryant. So definitely, I guess, have a horse to pull for here today.
You have to be impartial up here. And there's Rajah Caruth right there. We've talked about him, the Rev Racing Chevrolet. So exciting that he's going to be full-time here in the series. Also, there he is waving at us. Also, we're going to be hearing him run some Xfinity races later on this year.
Great experience for him. We're happy to have him. We never get the thumbs up acknowledement.
That was
we're on
impressive.
board
I don't
with
even know how you knew it was on.
I don't know either.
Maybe he's listening to us.
Maybe. Well, that's the first problem. Well, tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern, head on over to the ARCA Menards Series Twitter page at ARCA_racing to vote on what moment you think was today's sweetest move of the race presented by Reese's. We had a lot of fun with this last year.
We're gonna pick a few, but there's going to be a lot of sweet moves, and there has been all year too last year.
Yes, I mean Daytona is the perfect place to kick this off. We'll have a lot of sweet moments, that's for sure.
Let's take a look at our race analysis here for this 200 miles. You see 200 miles, 80 laps. First race back in 1964, and that was won by Nelson Stacy. We're going to have a competition caution on or near lap 40. That's about halfway. Then we'll have some modified live pit stops. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
We have cameras all over the place, but how about the drone? I love these shots. This is on the back stretch.
That drone is crazy, by the way, too. When you're out on the racetrack, you see that thing whizzing by you. It's pretty impressive. I don't know who the guy is flying it, but he's doing a heck of a job.
The clash at the Coliseum a couple of weeks ago, that was the star of the show right there. There it is.
Yeah. That is so cool. And the pictures are so great from that thing.
With that action, 36 car field. Phil, it's been a while since we've seen a field this stacked at Daytona.
2018 was the last time we had this many cars, so the really series is going in the right direction for sure.
And by the way, tip of the hat to the weather. I mean, I think we were due, I'm just saying. But we got practice in, we got all the races in this week. I mean, it's just been perfect. They got some practice. Let's listen to Greg Van Alst, the 35 radio.
The only way any of us prevail over that team is to kind of split them up. So see what happens here. It's a long day. Have fun. Guys, for everything. Let's go win this race at Daytona.
Dream come true for Greg Van Alst.
And they're talking about breaking up the Venturini 4 cars. That's what they're talking about.
Watch him hook up with the 43 of Daniel Dye.
That's
They've
right.
been working on it for a couple of days. We'll see if it works out for him. Got a powerhouse up front with Corey Heim, Gus Dean, Truck Series racer. He's coming over here for a couple of races with Venturini. Very fast in practice, obviously great in the draft as well. Starting on the front row. Pace truck is off. Green flag is in the air.
I think we saw a teammate start there, Phil.
It sure looked like it, didn't it?
Corey Heim with a nice jump. Gets ahead of the pack as they start to file in line.
And there's no question that's the Venturini Motorsports plan is to get together. Try to stay up front. Try to get single file. Log some laps.
There's a reason they've been very successful around this place. Corey Heim, of course, the winner here a year ago. That was a heck of a way to kick off the season for him. The only one missing from this front pack here is Toni Breidinger. She qualified a little farther back, so she's going to try to make her way up with her teammates.
They did group qualifying yesterday, and there were 3 of the Venturini cars in the same group. Toni wasn't in that group, so I was talking to her this morning, and she felt a little bit left out not being in that group, but she still did a great job.
It's pretty interesting how spread out the field already is. You know, normally for the first couple laps, even to the ARCA races, we see 2 wide, an outside lane trying to work, but really it seems like everybody's migrated to the bottom, and we've seen that the last couple of years in the ARCA races where the first, that first half up to that caution break, everybody kind of rides around on the bottom, and these guys are learning right now. The nerves are so high. You just get in, you just want to log laps. And I remember, my first race here, how nervous I was, and I think we tried going too wide for a while and ended up wrecking. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if anybody can start, working that second lane. But the first thing they're going to have to do is close up these Venturini cars. They're going to set such a fast pace up front. They're really going to be able to spread the field out.
If they stay single file, it's going to be very difficult and challenging for anyone to catch them because you have the fastest cars. They were the fastest cars in testing, fastest cars in practice, as well as qualifying. So it's going to be hard. You see that second group already side by side. They're going to lose some more ground space.
That's not going to help them at all. And that's the problem. You get some of these slower cars that were maybe in a faster group in qualifying, and they qualify farther up front. And then you have other Venturini cars like you were talking about with Toni Breidinger that are trying to get back up to her teammates. So the more they run too wide in that second group, the farther away they're going to get from that lead pack.
Toni Breidinger back in 13th right now as her teammates are 1, 2, 3. I'm looking at 5th right now in the 73. That's Andy Jankowiak. One of the greatest stories last year.
The coolest story.
Yeah. The thing we always get, is that the pizza delivery guy?
Yes, it is.
And he's still delivering pizzas, but he said when he delivers now, they recognize him. Hey, you're that guy that races.
I was talking to him during the test down here in January, and they finished the test on Saturday. He said, I got to get home. I have to deliver pizzas tomorrow. 3 wide.
I bet your pizza's always warm with him driving.
Absolutely.
That's a really good point. 3 wide. Look at this. Nick Sanchez isn't afraid up by the wall. There's his teammate right behind him.
Right behind him.
3 wide middle.
That's Dave Mater.
We have no one.
And you mentioned file, nose to tail, stay on that yellow line. That's really what all these rookies are told. They hammer in their head, stay on that yellow line. That will keep you out of trouble the best you can. Now you see somebody like Nick Sanchez, who's been around this place, so he's a little more comfortable moving up. But then Raja, are you surprised by him moving up so soon?
Well, I think he saw his teammate running up there, and they're trying to obviously clear this pack, and he's about to finally do it. But you saw Nick running up top, even though he's by himself. He was trying to help his teammate out behind him by running up there. If they can clear these guys and get back down on the bottom and then draft back up to that lead pack, that's what they're looking to do.
If you're watching this thinking these cars look really similar to Cup cars, well, they are. The old generation, it's the 5th and 6th generation chassis. They are made to good use. They're pushed down to the ARCA Menards series and the Xfinity series. Very safe. These are good cars for these guys in the development series.
And the bodies are essentially the same. They're not the high dollar bodies like the Cup cars, but the basic shape is the same.
Had a moment here with the 42.
That's Christian Rose, a former baseball player. Got a little bit of a bump from Mason Diaz in the 44.
That's a bump and run at 200 mile an hour.
Christian Rose, D1 pitcher. His dream was always to be a racer, so he started at 23 years old here at Daytona for the very first time. Corey Heim, he's led them all so far. ARCA Racing on FS1 is brought to you by Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. By Sioux Chief, America's manufacturer of plumbing, drainage, supply, and support products. And by Richmond Water Heaters, the water heater experts, available at Menards. And welcome back to Daytona. 8 laps in of an 80-lap ARCA Menards Series race here. Corey Heim has led them all, and he's got his teammates behind him, Gus Dean and Parker Chase.
7-car breakaway right now, but Jason and I have been watching that second group led by Drew Dollar. He's put some pretty good lap times. They haven't really lost any ground over the last 2 or 3 laps. They've got some good cars staying in line now.
Yeah, they got a good group. Down to Kate, it looks like, on the leader.
Heim was saying how he was actually glad the truck race happened. It knocked some of that rust off, and though he only got 20 laps green, he feels like he was much more confident getting into the car today. I actually just looked up at his crew chief, Shannon Rush, and he gave me a big thumbs up and a smile, so I'm guessing that means that both he and Corey Heim in that car are pretty happy.
Well, Kate, it's been a long off season. There's a lot of anticipation. Granted, most of these guys came down here for a test last month to get acclimated. It's still, there's nothing like being in the race where points are on the line, reputations are on the line, and a giant trophy at the end of the day.
Even in practice, they go out with some decent sized packs, but there's still nothing about having 36 cars on the racetrack at one time.
Biggest mover so far, up 12 positions, Nick Sanchez.
He's been fun to watch, too. He's not been afraid to go up top. And him and his teammate Raja have done a really good job about working together. You know, there's been times where you see a lot of the rookies, you know, once they clear them, that group on the bottom, they're just move right down and not worry about their teammate. But he's done a really good job of staying up, helping his teammate. And I think they realize they're going to be way faster together instead of separated. And then they also have a really fast lead car with Drew Dollar as well.
And part of that is the spotter. Tyler Green is a spotter. He's the Cup spotter for Cole Custer. He's spot for Nick Sanchez. So he's going to tell him, hey, your teammate is not clear yet.
Yeah,
he's going to wait till
absolutely.
your teammate is clear before you move down.
And you know, the spotter, especially at Daytona and Talladega, it is the absolute biggest, you know, thing that you can use as a tool. So to have a Cup spotter, a lot of these guys have Cup spotters up there, and the spotters, it seems like there's 5 to 10 guys that just really understand super speedway racing, and he's certainly one of them. So having a guy like that in your ear all day long is going to be a huge help for sure for these young drivers.
Yeah, you're a spotter for tomorrow's spotting here, right?
Yeah, he is on the Eric Caudell number 7 car. So yeah, any time that even the spotters can get any of these repetitions, you know, seeing what these cars are doing, it's so different. You know, for the drivers, it's obviously a long off season, but also for these spotters, it's a long off season. Just getting back in that rhythm is always nice.
We were riding on board there with Daniel Dye for a moment. You guys, his hair is amazing. It's as big as Boris says. See what happened with Tony Breidinger here.
That's Dale Quarterly, the 5 car, the old Bobby Garrett. Oh, a little bit of a bump there. There was a little bit of room. The 57, Brian Doza, was up the racetrack a little bit, but he was coming back down as Tony was getting a bump here.
That speed, a heck of a save.
Yes, it was.
They make it look so easy, but I can only imagine what it's like to be in that moment.
Yeah, they don't look super sideways sometimes, but I can assure you, especially here, any moment is a big moment.
So Tony Breidinger gave up a couple of spots there. She's back in 17th.
Really proud of Sean Corr, who's got a lot of experience here. He's a former pole sitter here at Daytona, top 5 finisher. He's up in that top 5. Andy J, you mentioned a while ago, up in that lead draft, as well as Greg Van Alst. So those guys really doing a nice job.
And we've got a car on pit road. And the hood's up. There's issues down there. What's going on, Josh?
Yeah, the 32 of Max Gutierrez having some issues right now. Max is saying it just keeps shutting off and on him. He's not sure exactly what it is. That's why the hood is up right now. They're trying to figure that out. He said maybe it's a fuel switch, but they're trying to get that thing fixed so they can get back out there on the track, Jamie.
Tough break early in this race for Max Gutierrez from Mexico City. This guy goes to college in Mexico City through the week in class, and then he jumps on a plane and comes to the racetrack. Unbelievable. I want to see him be able to finish his day. Corey Heim is your leader. This is the Lucas Oil 200.
Yeah, so I started go-kart racing when I was 9 years old at Sonoma Raceway with my twin sister Annie, and my dad just took us up to the go-kart track one day just to give it a try. He honestly meant nothing by it, wasn't trying to get us into racing or anything. It was just something fun to do, and we both loved it and told our dad, you know, like, we want to do this every day, so he got us a go-kart. Kind of the rest was history from there, so yeah, it's been a long journey.
And look at there. She's got a couple women on her pit crew. Brianna Daniels, probably many of you familiar with her. She's been going over the wall for the Cup Series for a few years now. And Delonda Quindeno. So well done, ladies. And Tony, as she said there, she's been around a long time, been racing since she was a young lady.
Well, when we saw that bump, we saw her move back to the 17th position, and now she's gone back to the front of that pack. She's back up to 11th. Let's take a look what happened while we're at commercial break. That's Dave Mader. And all he's doing is trying to help her. That's all he's doing is trying to help her. And that helped her get by Dale Quarterly in that 5 car.
Yeah, that was about as good of a push as you could do. We saw one earlier where it almost turned her around.
What are they saying in the 25 pit, Kate?
Well, Jamie, they're talking about actually working the bottom and holding your line. Kyle Larson's spotter, Tyler Munn, is continuing to tell her that from the beginning, and actually that was a strategy she told me, was that she was hoping to run the bottom the whole time. Now, when she made that move, it looked like she was moving on the top, so that is good experience for Tony. I want to go back to those over the wall, the girls changing the tires. These are women who have been around for a while. I asked Tony what it meant to have women representation with her, and she said, man, it is comforting to have the girl power and have their energy. And you know, Jamie, I like having your energy as well as that girl power.
Well, thank you, and you as well down there. We've got a lot of women on this broadcast. Pam Miller, of course, she is the producer holding us all together here.
You know, I was talking to Tony during the test. I said, what's been the biggest adjustment? Because she comes from an open wheel background. She's actually the winningest USAC female in open wheel competition that they've ever had. And she said, sitting on the left side of the car. It was a big. And
yeah,
you went through that, Chase.
I can definitely attest to that.
Most of your early career, you were in we got battle for the lead here.
Battle for the lead. We've got a line forming on the bottom. Corey Heim, though, able to hang on.
I think that might be lap cars that they're going by.
Gus Dean in the 55, staying tucked in behind Corey Heim.
Those guys have been really smart up front. They have a 7-car breakaway from about 1 lap into the race, and they've stayed there. We talked about Drew Dollar leading that second group. It's only 3 cars now, but they're losing a little bit of ground. But still, we're halfway to that competition caution at lap 40, so they're in no danger of going a lap down.
Yeah, right now you're just really honestly logging laps, just seeing what your car does, where it needs to be a little bit better. You know, you can try some stuff, especially when you're a small pack like this of 5-6 cars. You can move up a little bit, see if your car likes being a little bit better on the higher side, showing more right front headlight or left front headlight, and really see what makes your car work better in the draft. So when it comes late in a race, you can actually end up making those moves that you need to do.
So Corey Heim, Gus Dean. Oh, we've got to spin the 7 go round.
Caution is out.
That's Eric Caudell. Right off turn 4 in the grass. Not sure if he had any help there.
You see some damage to the back of the car. See the deck lid.
Try and get it fired up if you can.
Hey, I know that voice. That's my spotter.
We'll look at it. We'll get it fixed up. Fired up. Bring it to me.
And as they try to get the number 7 fired up, we'll step aside. Welcome back to Daytona. We're under caution for the first time, and the leaders are on pit road. Kate?
Corey Heim is extremely comfortable in that car. I'm still getting a thumbs up from crew chief Shannon Rush, but they are only doing 4 tires, fuel, and they're telling him to stay comfortable and stay calm out there.
Remember, these are modified live stops, so they cannot simultaneously put fuel in the car while putting tires on. They have to do it separately, take their time.
And they will go back on the racetrack in the order that they came off the racetrack. But anybody that stayed out on the racetrack will restart in front of them.
Josh, what's happening in the 55 pit?
Yeah, the 55 has been happy with their run so far. Obviously in second right now. They came in for 4 tires and fuel. And then Gus was saying they're a little squirrely out there just at times. They're getting a little tight when they get too close to Corey. But otherwise happy. They said take your time. We might put some tape on the front end as well, Jamie.
All right, thanks, Josh. Tightening those lugs there. Let's take a look at Corey Heim's pit stop.
See, they dropped the jack, and he thought it was time to go. But as you mentioned, Jamie, you cannot put fuel in simultaneously with a tire change. So obviously, most of the time, Chase, your signal to leave is when they drop the jack, and Corey did that. And then they said, no, come back. We have to put fuel in it. So
and some of that could just be honestly running the truck race last night, right?
You know,
we have total live pit stops there, and in this series, it is a little bit different. So it's just muscle memory.
The 7 of Eric Caudell, who had spun, got into the wall off of 4, ended up in the grass, brought out our first caution. And this is what happened under break. What do you see here?
Well, I see an incredible save by the 25, and then honestly, without Will Kimmel, I think behind her, she's probably ended up wrecked. You know, Will's the most veteran guy in the field. Without a guy like that behind you, it would have been trouble, I think.
We're still under caution. 56 laps to go from Daytona. Welcome back to the Lucas Oil 200, driven by General Tire at Daytona. Of course, you're watching this on FS1. Under caution for the first time today. Great awesome drone shot there. Well, each year the General Tire Super Speedway Challenge, comprised of 7 Super Speedway races, crowns the team with the highest total points. From Daytona, this chase for the title will extend to Talladega, Kansas, Charlotte, Pocono, and Michigan before returning again to Kansas. We talked a lot about this last year, Phil.
Yeah, this is a situation where they give the owner this award because sometimes the owner will have different drivers in their cars, and so they don't get penalized by not having the same driver. Billy Venturini actually won this program last year with Corey Heim.
It's what we see a lot in the Xfinity Series with the owner title, so they get credit for running all of the races. Let's check in with Kate.
Well, actually, I'm sitting here talking with Bill Venturini, the team owner, and he said, I'm as confused as everybody else. I didn't even realize you could back into your pit. He said at Talladega and Daytona, he was told that's what you can do. Now, talking with Shannon Rush, the crew chief on the 20, he said that it was a truck mindset move. So that was something that not only is it's Corey's fault, but actually Shannon took some responsibility for that as well. He feels like he could have let him know and reminded him of that. Josh, what do you have?
Well, Max Gutierrez has been having an issue with his car turning off and on. They went behind the wall to try and figure out exactly what is wrong, but they still couldn't figure it out. So after a while, they decided to just send him back out, fuel him up, and keep racing.
Thanks, Josh. And I was told Daniel Suarez, who's been a mentor to him from Mexico as well, was on his pit box for a little bit, watching his driver and communicating what he needs and talking to the team. It's really neat to see these ARCA drivers walk over to the Cup Garage throughout the week just to talk to their mentors, to learn how do you get around this place.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I've never met a driver. When I was starting to race, I never met a driver that wasn't more than willing to help. Because number one, probably going to keep him out of, if you stay out of trouble, it's going to keep him out of trouble as well.
Show the 29 of Sean Corr.
Top 5 stayed out, or top 5 right now on the racetrack stayed out during that caution flag. Sean Corr was up in that lead pack. We have a bit of a dispute over positioning on the racetrack. The ARCA,
that's not going to work, gentlemen.
No, the ARCA officials will get that figured out.
Yeah, we're not in Indy.
That's right.
Can't start 3 wide.
Now, we can race 3 wide. We just can't start 3 wide.
That's
so
right.
If they don't get this sorted out, then they will probably have to black flag somebody and explain to them why they're not supposed to be 3 wide.
And I think the 20 is supposed to be down unless that potentially they gave him a penalty. I don't know, but he was definitely ahead of the 2 and the 6 on the racetrack.
And the 73 as well. I mean, he was leading the race, so he should be the very front of those cars that pitted that time, unless they penalized him for backing back into his pit after he took off.
All right, race control adding a lap to try to organize this. And the top 5 stayed out. So Sean Corr, 29, shown as the leader. Ryan Huff next to him. So as they continue to get that figured out, well, starting tomorrow at 9 a.m., vote for today's Reese's Sweet Move of the race. I think we've seen a couple so far, and it's all been with one driver.
They're all Tony. They're all Tony.
The save in the 1 is what I'm voting for as of right now.
Be sure to go to the ARCA Menards Series Twitter page at ARCA_racing. Let's get an update on the 15K.
Parker Chase qualified 3rd, and this is his first Daytona. So what does that mean? It means a whole lot of learning. As he was coming into that pit stop, Kevin Reed said, Parker, do not speed. Guys, we're doing tires and fuel. We got to make sure that we're full. He also proceeded to tell him, wherever Corey and Gus go, you go. And that is exactly the motto for Venturini Motorsports here today.
And Parker Chase, he's a road course guy. IMSA He actually raced the Rolex 24. That's how Kyle Busch met him, and then Kyle put him in his truck for a couple races last year. But he's really just trying to learn ovals, and this is certainly the largest one he has raced at.
We talked about these guys coming in. That's pretty early at lap 23, and they know they're going to have to save some fuel, but they're counting on these caution laps. That extra caution lap is going to help everybody.
Quite a bit.
And they know at the competition caution around halfway, they're going to get 4 or 5 more caution laps. So I think that's the key, is these guys are going to have to save a little fuel potentially to try to get to the end of this race, the ones that sit pitted then.
Little strategy, but something tells me that wasn't our last caution.
No, well, we know
we got one coming.
We got one at lap 40 for sure.
Intentional.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, unintentional.
Yeah.
There's those to come too.
And we're still 3 wide.
We just saw a shot of a seagull. That's something so strange about being at a racetrack.
Hey, there was a lot of them sitting down there on the bottom in 3 and 4 in practice today.
They have no fear. What's wrong with them?
Speaking of no fear, these drivers trying to start 3 wide, I can assure you that the ARCA officials will put some fear in
they're
them.
better off getting in line and say, well, let me pass them on the racetrack. Because our ARCA officials are not going to like that.
That was Nick Sanchez that remained 3 wide. They're still on the high side. We go back to racing.
I mean, I hate it for Nick, but he needs to be black flagged for being 3 wide when they came to the green.
I was surprised they dropped the green flag because he still sat there on the high side.
They can't wait forever. I mean, they gave him a lap to get it figured out.
Yeah, I think it'll end up costing him more anyways if he doesn't get a penalty starting on that, that 3rd row. He's going to drop back, I would think, fairly quickly, but he's got some help up here, so we'll see if it goes anywhere.
How about Mason Diaz in the 44? He was a Toyota development driver. He lost that ride, and he's kind of found his way. He races a lot, but not in the ARCA Menards series. Was down here at the test. It was like a road to Daytona series, and we just got word they're posting the 2 for pass-through.
They had to. Yeah. I hate that. I sure hate that for Nick, but you cannot come to the start-finish line 3 wide, and he was a guy on the outside. Everybody else was in line.
One thing that will save him is that caution of coming on 40. As long as he can be the first car 1 lap down, that'll be a huge help if he can get back on the lead lap, because that caution's coming where typically you wouldn't know when that is.
He's not going to have to stop in his pit. He'll just have to do a pass through. There's a chance that he might even be able to stay on the lead lap.
That's a good point.
Nick Sanchez in the 2 just drops to the bottom side, so he'll be able to make his pass-through penalty. Meanwhile, Max Gutierrez back on pit road. It looks like he's going to call it a day. They're taking him back to the garage.
Yeah, Nick just has to make sure he doesn't speed on pit road, because then he would definitely have to serve another penalty and go a lap down.
We restarted out of line, but we were forced by the 43, so that's our argument. So just keep running here for now. I'll let you know if we have to pit, but we need to stay bottom for now.
I believe that was radio on the 2. They told him to stay out for now.
Yeah, and I will say there is times where you are in that 3rd lane, and those guys in the 2nd lane don't want to let you in, but in his situation there, you're better off, dropping all the way to the tail and just not getting that penalty, because the penalty is going to be obviously way worse than starting at the back.
But the crew chief can go to the ARCA official in his pit and say, how's the lineup? Is the 2 supposed to be in the 40 in front of the 43, or is it supposed to be behind the 43? And if it says behind the 43 and he didn't do it, then he needs to be penalized. If he's supposed to be in front of
oh my. Wow, we saved it.
Wow.
That was a big checkup in the middle of the corner, and you're not expecting that, obviously, when you're running wide open.
That was Amber Balkan, her on board. The 42 of Christian Rose. We talked about him being the D1 pitcher.
It'll be interesting if her nose got tore up there, because that'll obviously really affect her towards the end of the race. But, that's the thing here. A little bit of damage sometimes isn't bad, right, Phil? But on the nose, you definitely don't want it.
We're hearing that the 2 won the argument. They're not going to have a restart penalty. Well, then, again, if the 43 forced them out of line, then wow, you hear Daniel having to really pedal the throttle there. But great for Nick Sanchez. Great move. They fought the good fight, and they won.
Kept him on the track, and as a matter of fact, he's the fastest man out there right now. Just turned the fastest lap at 185.9 miles per hour as we take a look at what happened here. The 69, and then you see the 30 pushing Christian Rose in the 42.
Well, Christian saw what was happening in front of him, and then Amber didn't see that. He backed off because of what was going on in front of him, and Amber didn't have an idea that was happening. So she did a great job keeping that steering wheel straight and not turning him sideways.
It's the accordion effect.
Yeah,
and if you don't see it, you're just a riding passenger. 33 laps in. Look at that. Oh, wow. He's got a fish in those talons. Absolutely
there's no fish
beautiful.
over
We'll
there.
be back to Daytona after this. ARCA Racing on FS1 is brought to you by General Tire. Hashtag GT Delivers. By Reese's. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Reese's. Not sorry. And by Sprecher. Fire Brewed Craft Soda. The official craft soda of ARCA. And welcome back to Daytona. Jamie Little joined by Phil Parsons, Chase Briscoe. We have Kate Osborne and Josh Sims on pit road bringing you the action today. Let's listen to the 25 radio and what they're talking about, Tony Breininger.
Looking like it's down or something, but then we run them down everywhere else. Tony, are you wide open?
I'm wide open right now.
Were you lifting getting into the corner at all?
Before I was, now I'm not.
Yeah, you can't. It's drafting. Wide open the whole damn time. We can't lose the draft.
Well, I think she knows now to hold it wide open. And that's a thing where, sometimes, especially not knowing, not having the experience, you see that accordion effect that we were talking about earlier, and you do want to lift. And there's times in the draft where we're lifting. There's even times where you're using the brake. But when you're on that tail end of the pack, you can't risk lifting and losing that momentum. And, unfortunately, she'll learn that the hard way. But luckily for her, there's a caution coming in 2 laps, so it'll get her right back up there. But, yeah, it is hard to do, and tell yourself, hey, keep this thing wide open, especially when there's a lot of movement up in front of you. You're going fast, but you really learn how fast you're going when you hit something. And I think that's where a lot of that lifting comes from, is just the fear of that.
Battle for the 6th spot right here. Dale Quarterly on the outside. Nice save a few moments ago for Dale Quarterly. Let's see if we can take a look. See him on the inside. Got a little bit loose there. Got down on the double yellow line. Got a little bit loose. And fortunately, the 43 of Daniel Dye realized that Dale Quarterly needed a little bit more room, and he gave it to him.
You get your left front on that yellow line. It'll really suck you into the apron and get you loose. And then you saw Daniel kind of come down, get on his door. That makes you even freer. And I think he probably heard Dale get out of the gas a little bit, so he here and got up the racetrack to get away.
Dale Quarterly 7th right now. Really nice save. You guys.
Was that a pass under the yellow line on a lap car? I think we just saw that.
Well, he didn't improve his position, even if he was below the double yellow line.
You could see there on the onboard as we zoomed in, you could see the number 29 sticker. A lot of the cars, Phil, running a decal for Bob Keselowski.
Yeah, we lost Bob, a few weeks ago or whatever. So meant so much to this series, so much to racing. Obviously, Brad and Brian's dad, I've known since I was a little kid because they're from Michigan like I am. So I knew Bob's dad, and really a tough loss. So loved here, and he helped my son run late models a few years ago.
I actually spotted for your son on that 29.
Chase spotted for
It all comes full circle in this racing family.
It's definitely sad. We miss Bob, and when I moved to North Carolina, the first shop I volunteered at was Bob and Brian Keselowski. So to see that 29 car running up front, that paint scheme is cool, and to see Brad win the other night here was super awesome.
Yeah, he was a 1989 ARCA champion. Bob won a bunch of races in the ARCA series. His brother Ron, who was his crew chief, was actually, the roles were reversed because Ron was actually the driver early on, and Bob was a crew chief. Ron was also a very good race car driver.
Sean Core running 3rd in the 29. Normally he runs the number 8, but he's doing this to honor Bob Keselowski. And actually, the passenger side door, it has Bob's name. And I sent a picture of that to Brad yesterday, and he really appreciates it for sure. Misses his dad, as he mentioned the other day, after winning the dual race.
Yeah, and that car looks identical to the car that Bob had in the ARCA Racing Series. That car is actually here. That Dodge is actually here. The cars look identical.
All right, caution is out. Mid-race break here. Option to pit. And we will get to that on the backside. But Corey Heim has been your leader. Parker Chase. And we're having an air show while a race is going on. Tonight, the Washington Huskies travel to Westwood for a Pac-12 showdown against Johnny's Juzang and the 13th ranked UCLA. The West Coast action begins tonight, 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, right here on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Speaking of hoops, Raja!
If that's a 10-foot goal, I am impressed.
I am too. That was actually my reaction when I finally got net for the first time, because I can't jump to save my life. I'm 6 foot tall.
I'm not sure I ever touched on that, actually.
I'm willing to bet he's only 5'7". Wow. That's impressive. Josh, you have more on him?
Yeah, the crew chief was asking Raja why he pulled out of line before when he was running, and he said he was worried about the cars in front of him wrecking. He said it was way too early in the race for that. If he wanted to race, quote, he could right now, but he's being a little cautious. Well, his crew chief told him to, from now on, we got to race. We can't afford to do that again. That's why he's back a couple spots from where he was earlier in the race as he finishes his stop and heads back out, Jamie.
Thanks, Josh. And Raja shown right now in the 18th position. And that's all right. What do you guys think of him being a little bit, apprehensive or a little cautious right now?
Plenty of time.
I like it.
That car's straight. He knows he's worked well with his teammate Nick Sanchez as well as Drew Dollar. So I like what he's doing. Why don't we ask? I want to ask him about that dump if we can get a hold of him. Hey, Raja, Phil Parsons and the guys and girls up in the Fox booth. You got a copy? Yeah, let me give him one more try. Hey, Raja, Phil Parsons in the Fox booth. You got a copy?
That's our channel 2, Phil.
All right, let's try the other channel. Hey, Raja, Phil Parsons in the Fox booth. You got a copy?
What's up, Phil? I got you.
Hey, buddy, Jamie, Chase Briscoe and I were watching video of you dunking. Now, I want to know if that was a 10-foot goal.
Say that one more time, please.
We watched a little bit of video of you dunking a basketball. Was that a 10-foot goal?
Oh, yes, that was 10 feet, man. What do I look like to you?
Well, I don't know. How tall are you, Raja? You're not, what, about 5'8", 5'9"?
Hey, I'm 5'8".
That was pretty darn impressive. And you're doing a nice job here keeping that thing straight, working with your teammate, Nick Sanchez. What do you think for the rest of this race?
I'm surprised I haven't wrecked yet, to be honest with you, Phil. But overall, I was running a little bit hot, and that's why I bailed there. And I'm glad Nick and I are still together. Hopefully we can make something happen. I'm still expecting them to wreck, but surprised that they haven't.
All right, buddy. You're doing a great job. Keep it going.
Thank you.
Slow motion.
He's got hops.
Woo. That is impressive. I love this. He runs all the way down the hill and just lays down.
I think I would have to lay down, too, and for about a year if I jumped that high.
No kidding. He's such a nice young man. He's just so happy, working so hard, and he's only been doing it 3 years, and here he is on the big stage.
Really incredible.
It's already that time, gentlemen. Let's take a look now at the Richmond Water Heaters mid-race recap, because we're there.
It's been a pretty clean race so far.
Great saves.
See, Corey Heim
stay clean very long.
No, I know. Corey Heim jumps out to the early lead with a couple teammates in tow.
Tim Richmond falling back a little bit. See that accordion effect, but everybody keeps it clean.
Eric Caudell got involved in a little bit, got a little bit of damage to them.
And there's
right
a sweet
side.
move of the race right there so far. That save was unbelievable.
And that was Tony Breidinger, great save. And then the debate, 3 wide. That's Nick Sanchez up against the wall in the 2. He didn't want to give it up.
He didn't want to give it up, and I said he should be black flagged unless somebody was forcing him up there. And the ARCA officials agreed with their argument. They did not black flag him or anybody else. So that was a little bit surprising. But I'm glad for Nick Sanchez that he didn't get black flagged.
And then, of course, he went on to turn the fastest lap of the race. Let's listen to the 55 radio. 2.
If we try to let the 43 in just to see if we can get enough to go, right? And maybe you pushing him might be enough to help us with a couple cars behind us, right? I mean, it's worth a shot now instead of waiting till lap 75, right? Yeah, I'm game for it.
And that's Greg Van Alst in the 35, talking to his team about what he needs to do. This is his running partner, Daniel Dye, in the 43. Let's check in real quick with Kate.
Well, and talking about the leaders, Corey Heim and Parker Chase, they're sitting pretty happy in the car. Actually, I was talking to Shannon Rush, the crew chief on the 20, and I asked her at the cabine. He said, no, we're staying out. I said, why? He said, because we want to win. He said, I think if we get 3 more cautions even, we'll have enough fuel to the end, and the general tires are all good. But what's Corey hearing on the radio? They're saying, take that top line on that restart. He asked, do we have enough fuel? The team says no definite answer with that, but They said just save what you can. Meanwhile, in the 15 with Parker Chase, you know what? We're going to give Jamie that lead on that cake and green here.
Thank you, Kate. Get ready to go to green. Looking at how the field has been shaken up a little bit. We had some pit and some not, as Kate mentioned. Corey Heim, one of those that pitted earlier on lap 23, so they opted to stay out because they want to win this thing. Parker Chase, Greg Van Alst, Daniel Dye, and the 27, Tim Richmond, no relation to the Tim Richmond, top 5. Green flag is in the air.
I think the intensity is going to ratchet up this restart right here. If it does anything like that first original start, we saw it get so spread out that if it gets like that, I don't think we're going to see that big pileup that we typically see. So I think these guys know that this restart, they got to really get their track position here, just because it's not a guarantee that you're going to get the big one. The last couple of years, we really haven't seen the big wreck in the ARCA race. So I think these guys are going to be pushing for everything they got right here and try to get that track position and try to maintain that to the end.
That's the 43 of Daniel Dye leading that pack on the outside. He is not going to want to lose touch with these guys. That's Tim Richmond, the 27 on the inside. You see Daniel Dye pulling down to side draft a little bit. Has a good fast car behind him. Gus Dean, let's see what the outside groove can do here.
Yeah, and when you're in that outside groove, you see Daniel Dye pulling down, getting as tight as he can to Tim Richmond's door, and then pulling away. And what you're doing is you're trying to drag that guy back. You're pushing more air on their spoiler than if they were just running by yourselves. And that's what we call side drafting. And when you're in that outside lane, it is work to keep just inching your way farther and farther forward. And it's not an easy thing to do, but that's where these cup spotters are such a huge help to these younger guys.
So Daniel Dye in 5th, you guys talked about him. He's on the outside. He's trying to get to the guy in the 35 on the inside, Greg Van Alst. They had a plan. The only way that they feel like they can win this race is if they get rid of those Venturini cars. So they're trying to get around them, but they're surrounded by them right now.
And that's the tough thing is when there are those numbers. You know, you see it on the Cup side. It's kind of turned into this manufacturer race, right? Well, it's the same in this series. You know, Venturini's taken that same model from the Cup series and applied their numbers in their fast cars to just really dominate the race and take control of the race. And it's going to take some of these other teams and other drivers getting in there to really break those guys up and get to the front and take the win.
Well, we've got 33 laps to go, side-by-side action, but it's all Corey Heim, Parker Chase up front. Caution at Daytona for the 3rd time. Andy Jankowiak involved. Multiple wrecks, multiple cars involved. See the 97 of Jason Kitzmiller.
The wreck started on the backstretch with the 97 of Jason Kitzmiller, and then that was a shot we had of the leaders that were around the racetrack. Maybe they were just, somebody slowed down when they saw the caution flag and somebody ran. Let's take a look at it. Yeah, this is all the way back in turn number 2. This is where this initial accident is going to start. You see some pretty close racing here. The 97 gets turned. It might have been Nick Sanchez that was behind him. He might have got crowded by the 97 of Jason Kitzmiller. And you see the leaders going out of your screen way down the racetrack.
And the caution's already out here, Phil, in the middle of the back straightaway.
You see the caution lights right up there, middle of your screen, flashing.
See Greg Van Alst on the outside, Daniel Dye.
Another view of that. Will Kimmel, 68, got a little piece of that. Maybe not a great deal of damage to Will's car. But I'm really curious to see what happened with the leaders as we were all watching this wreck here on the backstretch. Caution flag already out.
Yeah,
caution flag already out
for 10, 15 seconds probably.
Do you think they just didn't see the caution come out? You see Van Alst sideways there?
It's almost like the 35 just, you know, he knew he was under caution and was rolling up, and then they put him 3 wide. He probably didn't even know he was 3
Somebody
wide.
was pushing the 55, trying to go through the middle of the 35 on the outside, and Greg Van Alst, I don't think, realized that they were there in the middle, came down the racetrack a little bit, and they made contact. Here, we're going to see it right here.
Riding on board with Daniel Dye. He said, there goes my dancing partner.
But I think the 55 was being pushed, trying to go through the middle of that situation. You see, there's a 55.
Yeah, he's locked on Dave Mader.
And that's Dave Mader pushing him.
And
The caution's out right now. They go by Daniel Dye, and they're not done yet. Dave Mader continuing to push the 55 of Parker Chase into the 35 of Greg Van Alst. Andy J also got a piece of that too with a 73.
Greg Van Alst wondering what in the world is going on. Back it down. This is on board Greg Van Alst right here. Let's see what his view was.
All the way out.
He's just riding along with the caution because the caution flag is out. I don't think, obviously, it didn't seem like Dave Mader realized that the caution was out.
They were going to the lead.
And he was pushing the 55 of Parker Chase. I think Parker Chase was trying to back off.
I think he was too.
But he was being pushed.
Let's listen to the radio of Jason Kitzmiller in the 97.
You're 3 wide again, Jay. Talking, and I'm trying to spot, and you come down when you're not supposed to, buddy.
And that's my old spotter, Tim Fiedler, who does Kevin on Sundays and is an incredible spotter. I think what he was saying was Jason was trying to talk while Fiedler was trying to spot 3 wide.
Multiple cars involved as they continue the cleanup. We'll be back. 29 laps to go from Daytona. And we continue under caution for the 3rd time today as we look back again at the replay of the first wreck.
Yeah, we heard the spotter, and that's Timmy Fiedler. I said, hey, I'm trying to spot, and you're on the radio. You came down and crowded that car that was in the middle, and that's what caused this incident. Will Kimmel, you see the 68, going to get a little piece of that, but I believe it was Nick Sanchez that he came down on, and where the contact came from. And I think that's still Nick right behind him.
Here's the second wreck about 20 seconds later. I think we were talking earlier on under commercial, just a deal where I don't think a couple of those cars even knew the caution was out and was still going for it while the other guys were obviously trying to check up, and unfortunate for Andy J for sure.
Well, tomorrow, it's the big day, the most iconic day in all of motorsports, the Daytona 500. The Great American Race kicks off the 2022 NASCAR season at 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific, only on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Of course, we have race day. We have so much pre-race coverage tomorrow for you. It's going to be a special day. Beautiful weather, sold-out crowd.
And this guy looked like he had a pretty good car Thursday night.
Yeah, I feel like my car is really, really good. You know, that's the thing with the next gen. We don't know what's good and what's bad, what's supposed to feel like, what's not supposed to feel like. But I know for me, it feels pretty dang good. So we'll see how we do tomorrow. But it sounds like Kate has something on the 35 down there.
Yeah, very disappointing day for Greg Van Alst, who was really prepared and was running with his partner, Daniel Dye. He came in, there was some left rear damage. They said, we might need to get ready to pit twice, in fact, but they got a hammer out. They nailed on that left rear tire, and that left front tire wasn't touched. So they're waiting to figure out if they're going to actually need to pit again. Josh?
Well, the 55 of Gus Dean was sandwiched in that wreck. They came in to get the damage fixed. They had to pull out the fender on the front. They had to throw some tape on the front right side of that car. They got right side tires, taped it up, got it back out there, took their time. And they said it looks good, and he's feeling better now that they're back out there and fixed up.
Thanks, Josh. And Gus Dean in the 55, a threat. I mean, that car's good. He's won this race before, so he's really excited for his opportunity here. Let's look on the onboards and what happened.
This is Daniel Dye on the right, Greg Van Alst on the left. Greg was just coming down the racetrack, and that's when the 55 was being pushed into the incident.
Beautiful pictures here, of course, not for Andy J.
But I don't think there's a great deal. It looks like Gus Dean's car probably had the most damage of anybody, and I think that they did a nice job repairing that. You see a tire mark there on Andy J's car. There's a damage on Gus Dean's car. That is the most damage that I think anybody sustained. But I think in this draft, I think he can probably overcome that.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to want to lead the
pack. He's not a leader, but he might be a follower.
I think he'll for sure be okay, and he could definitely push people still.
So this is the kickoff to the ARCA Menards Series schedule, and some great places we're going to this year. It's 20 race schedule, 19 different tracks for these drivers, everything from short tracks, super speedways, road courses, you name it.
A couple mile dirt tracks. I know you like the dirt tracks.
I think the ARCA schedule is one of the coolest schedules, especially for these young drivers. It's such a good way to learn. You know, you go to NASCAR, mile and a half, you go to Daytona, Talladega, you run 2 dirt tracks, you run half miles, short tracks. It's one of the coolest schedules out there. It really builds your foundation for stock car racing, and I know I want to get back to the one on October 1st. I want to go back to Salem Speedway. That's my home track. It's 20 minutes from where I grew up, and that's the one that always got away from me.
You had a really good car there that year when you won the championship.
That one still stings.
I think that was your only finish outside the top 10 that year, right? When you had
we had an axle.
problem?
Yeah, we had an axle break at the end.
You drivers don't forget a thing, do you?
I can't remember very many of them, but I can remember that one.
You remember those losses more than you remember the wins.
Absolutely.
All right, the cleanup is finished. I see the 35 made one more trip down pit lane, try to fix that car up, but not a lot of damage. Not out of this thing yet.
Not at all.
Corey Heim in the 20. It's been his day so far.
Has a teammate, Tony Breidinger, right up there behind him. Another teammate, the 15 of Parker Chase on the inside. And there's Tim Richmond. He's just stayed up in the top 5.
What a cool story, too.
Great story on him. We'll get to that after we drop the green flag again. But Tony, roundabout way to get there. But finally, she's found her teammates, her dancing partners up front, and Parker Chase on the bottom in the 15. Doing a great job here at Daytona for the first time, and the green flag is out again.
I'm interested to see how Venturini does his start, if they were going to try to get, Corey and Tony down on the bottom. And it looks like he's trying to drag back Parker Chase's, but without any help from behind, I don't know if Tony's going to be able to get down. Now she's really going to have to work hard to get down and on the bottom. And Sean Corey here is going to try to pick her up and help her. But she's got a lot of really strong cars behind her here.
One car we really haven't talked about today, the 18 of Drew Dollar. We're used to seeing Ty Gibbs in that 18 for all the races last year. Incredible job this year.
Got a tire coming apart, guys.
We just caught a glimpse of a car smoking. Looked like it, as Chase said, there it is.
I saw some debris.
That's Michael Lear. This is the left rear tire down. Yeah, left rear tire is flat. Michael Lear's car in the 60.
Heck of a job by him.
And we haven't seen him in the series for a while. That was a guy that I know I raced against in 2016 quite a bit.
So he makes it off the racetrack safely. He was running 12th at the time.
We know how good Drew Dollar. We were talking about Drew Dollar a few moments ago. We know how good he is on these kind of racetracks. He finished second to Corey Heim.
And caution is out for the 4th time because of debris, as you see it fly off the tire carcass right there. Look at how does he save this 3 wide.
Came out, Phil?
Pardon me?
Looked like the crush panel almost.
It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, the aluminum crush panel.
Corey Heim, Parker Chase at the front. This is the Lucas Oil 200. Welcome back to the Lucas Oil 200, driven by General Tire at Daytona, right here on FS1. Let's get an update on our 4th place driver, Daniel Dye, with Kate.
Daniel Dye is saying he's completely comfortable in the car, all good, and actually hasn't shown his speed yet. But taking it back a little bit further, Daniel Dye on the side of his car has in loving memory of Bob and Luke Dye. Bob being his grandfather who passed away while Daniel Dye was on track at the test in Daytona. There you see he and his grandpa giving a fist bump, and that was actually after a race a couple of years ago, the Governor's Cup in New Smyrna. Now Daniel Dye is a local boy, and he proceeded to drive his grandpa's truck here to the racetrack in memory of him as well, and celebrating. There he is pulling into the Speedway here. And Daniel Dye is just one of those drivers who you just want to support and love, and this is a guy who is feeling that way for his grandpa right now. So right now, Daniel Dye, we're thinking of you and your grandpa.
He is a sweet kid. He's from DeLand, Florida. It's like 4 miles down the road. He said his first Daytona 500, he was 2 months old. Just a racing family. Can't believe he's here racing. And I was actually at that test and was standing there when he got the news that his grandfather passed.
Yeah, so sad. But what a talent, though. I know, talking to Chad Bryant, who used to be Chase's crew chief, and as Daniel's crew chief, is really high on him. He said he thinks he's really a good one.
Yeah, I talked to Chad quite a bit, and every time he gets a new driver, we're calling talk about it for almost an hour, it seems like. And I know he's pretty excited to have this guy behind the wheel, so it'll be cool to see what him and Chad can do this year.
I know Chevrolet's real high on him, and Petty GMS. He's a good one with great hair. All right, we'll get back to racing action. 22 laps to go. Things are heating up here in Daytona. Welcome back to Daytona for the ARCA Menards Series, race number 1 of the 2022 season. Hey, this is the first of a doubleheader today. Coming up next, the NASCAR Xfinity Series, live from Daytona. It starts at 4 p.m. Eastern on FS1. And get this, guys. Look who's joining Adam Alexander in the booth. It's Denny Hamlin and Chad Knaus.
That'll be a good one.
That's a pairing. And Coleman Presley, we're going to try something a little bit different. He's going to be our eyes on the roof. He'll be our analyst as a spotter, which will be really interesting.
That will be really interesting, and he's one of the best when it comes to super speedway racing. And we've talked about it earlier. The spotters are such a key when we come to this place, so it'll be cool to see that new dynamic up there on the roof and have an in-race spotter analyst.
What do you think of Chad Canales and Denny Hamlin up here?
I think it'll be a great competition. I think nobody knows this racetrack and how to do this kind of racing better than Denny Hamlin. I mean, he has schooled these guys in the past, so it's going to be interesting to see his insight from the booth.
Yeah, and it'll be great for him to be in the booth. I know you guys pick up some things here and there, being from
absolutely.
in his perspective.
It's a whole other perspective, and one that is nice to kind of see. You know, you get so caught up in sitting in the driver's seat in that perspective, and up here you can see a lot more things. And you know, even talking earlier about the spotters, up here you can see what they finally see. And with me having a new spotter this year, it's nice to kind of see what he's seeing, and just trying to correlate that into what we're doing tomorrow.
So you don't holler at the spotter as much after you're up here?
I don't know how they do it, okay? I have no desire to do it. I've done it, like I said, on the short track stuff, even for Stefan. But looking through binoculars and clearing a guy by a half-inch, that is not for me.
No, thank you. All right. Let's get back to the action. 20 laps to go. Corey Heim has showed a mastery class so far today on the draft and keeping it up front. How about Amber Balkan up to 15th? Josh, what are they saying in her pit?
Well, Jamie, the thing for Amber is this is a dream come true racing here at Daytona. She said she tested here back in 2014, dreamed of coming here, finally gets the full-time ride, and here she is in her first full-time season with Rhett. But the thing about that is as they go back green, she's working on these restarts, and her team has been coaching them through these, telling her she's been starting too early on some of them, so she's working on that, Jamie.
And green flag back out. Corey Heim with another great launch. Daniel Dye gains a few positions, jumps into second.
He's just looking for a spot to get down. He wants to get down in that line.
He's got a good pusher behind him.
Yeah,
Dave Gator, we saw him pushing earlier.
They know now with inside of 20 laps to go, you want to be in the right. You don't necessarily have to be in the lead, but you need to be in position close enough to the lead to sniff it and try to make something happen.
And Josh was talking about Amber Balkan. She's been racing her entire career. Dad told her, you need to be a businesswoman before you can be a race car driver. So she's brought her sponsors. This is the first time she has a full-time season lined up. And she's just quietly, methodically working her way up. 14th right now for the 30.
And I talked to her co-owner, Mark Redd, along with Terry Jones that owns that car. And he said, hey, if we can finish, we're going to be here all year long. If we can finish, that'll be a win for us. And she's doing a great job.
Such a relief for a driver, too. So many show up here at Daytona, and they know I've only got this chance and maybe one other race. So you tried too hard.
Whoa.
Whoa, what a save.
Wow.
That was Nick Sanchez. Got really, really loose.
He might have a tire going down. Yeah, I think he does. It's kind of going back and forth here in a straight line.
You can see some rubber come off. He was running in the 7th spot. What a great save. That may be a contender for the Reese's Sweet move.
You talked about it. Those moves, they look so small on camera, but to a driver.
That was big.
Well, Raja Caruth has lost his teammate, Nick Sanchez, who will bring it down pit lane.
That's a 63 of Dave Mader on the outside. They're battling just outside the top 10. See Dave pulling down the side draft a little bit as Chase was talking about to try to pull that car back. Dump some air on the spoiler.
Let's look at that save again. The two and Nick Sanchez and what exactly happened.
As Chase said, I think he had a tire going down. And it happened all of a sudden right in front of Andy J.
That's something definitely looked like even the left rear something bounced there. And he's on pit road now even, but
right rear down.
Yeah, right rear down.
Yeah.
What a save. You don't normally bring those ones back.
Andy J's got his head on a swivel from that incident about 15 minutes ago.
You see these guys running side by side. Well, they're losing touch with that top 8 that are lined up. They need to try to figure it out and get single file. Raja has squirted out ahead of those side-by-side cars, but they need to get lined up here and see if they can do something to chase down that front 8 right there.
Yeah, they better do it quickly or they're going to completely lose touch here, especially with how fast those cars are up front. They're doing a really good job of staying single file, staying formed up, and now they just make them even faster and faster.
Kate's in the leaders pit. What are they saying, Kate?
Well, Shannon Rush just looked over at me and he goes, "Isn't silence golden?" And that's exactly what he feels with Corey Heim, who's completely quiet on the radio, is extremely comfortable in that car. And in talking with Corey about coming into this race, he said, from last year to now, what I've learned is you got to be at the right place at the right time. The slip up happens so quickly around here, and you've got to get the people on the track to trust you. And in talking with the Venturini camp this week, that is exactly what Corey Heim has done. He has been a leader, and his teammates now do trust him out on track.
How about that third place car there, guys? Tim Richmond. What a great story. This car was actually given to Tim Richmond because he lost a car and broke his leg at Michigan. And David Gillen Racing felt bad and said, "We're going to give you a car." And they gave that car to this family-run team. I was talking to Tim's dad down in the garage area this morning, and he said, we had to talk his mom into letting him continue to race after he broke his leg. And well, we're glad they did. She's okayed it. And I'm sure she's watching now. We appreciate you letting Tim do this. He's doing a fantastic job.
Watched them yesterday in qualifying, and he showed tremendous speed there, and the family was just besides themselves. This amazing car, now this great opportunity for Tim Richmond, running third right now.
How about another great story back in the 5th spot? Tony Branger. We've been following her path up from the back of the field, doing a nice job right now in this lead draft of 8 cars. She's been pushed around 2 or 3 times, made some great saves, but she's in with some great cars right now.
Don't come off, watch coming off the corner. Just nice and smooth.
Some sweet moves she's had today.
You hear her telling her about that yellow line. That's going to be her best friend right here, especially as we inch closer to the end of the race.
If you drift a half a car width off that double yellow line, somebody's going to stick a nose in there and try to gouge you out. So they need to stay right on that double yellow line.
There's the goals. Look at that. An Osprey. There's an Osprey right there. We'll be back. 13 laps to go from Daytona. There has been some tremendous driving, some amazing saves so far today in this Lucas Oil 200.
There's a nice one right there by Brian Doza. That's Scott Melton, the 69. They got together.
On board with Amber Balkan.
Wow. Back down, outside.
Were those the other cars?
Outside.
Yeah. I think there was a slow car.
I think somebody was coming to pit road and tried getting it fairly late.
Yeah, and I don't think Amber saw it to the last second. She did a great job of avoiding it on the left side.
Amber shown in the 20th spot right now. There's Raja looking for some friends, and it's hard to find friends when you're a rookie. As you guys mentioned, the word trust. They don't know if they can trust him yet.
Yeah, they see that yellow bumper and they say, wow, they really don't know what they're doing.
Clear high here, clear high.
It's a battle for the 14th spot right there. That was Gus Dean, who was involved in that incident a few laps ago in the 55. How about the second pack now is just about caught that lead pack. Dave Mader is the guy leading that second pack.
I'll tell you what, Dave Mader's got a fast car today.
Let's listen to the 43 radio, Daniel Dye.
One thing for reminders here, big picture, this isn't a video game, you can't hit reset. So whatever you're going to try, have it pretty well thought out.
That's not as crazy as you think.
Man, second group is catching us here. Just be ready for when I tell you we're going to have to move.
You recognize that voice?
I know that voice well. I hear it often, and a lot of the time it's getting a stern talking to from him, even still to this day. But yeah, that was the voice of Chad Bryant. Like I said, the guy that was my crew chief when I ran in the ARCA series and was even the best man at my weddings. So it's always cool to see Chad mentor these young guys. He's always been so good at that, and just seeing and telling them what they're doing. And I think what he was talking about there was, I think Daniel was talking about potentially if that second lane or that second groove, or sorry, if that second pack gets to the second lane and makes a big move, just like he's doing right now, but jump up and get in front of him.
What a great car behind him, too, in the 18 of Drew Dollar.
And look at the speed they've gained there by doing that. And I think Chad will be happy with that move.
And Daniel Dye, how about that on the radio? 18 years old, first time here, and he says, it's not as bad as you think out here.
They've got a lap car up there, too, that they can draft off a little bit as they try to get make some ground up on this inside line.
He was looking really good at that move, and then Andy J went up and did what he's supposed to do, was go up and side draft him and slow him back down. If he could just clear the 73 like he did right now. Now the problem is he just hung all of his guys that he was helping in the second lane, but he's still trying to make it work. He's going to go up. Every time he gets a run, he's going to go side draft that car in front of him, get on their right rear quarter panel, drag him back, and then try to get back down in front of him.
Yeah, pulled to the inside, got a little bit of energy, and then pulled back to the outside in front of that 18.
The Sprecher lap leader, 67 of 73 laps led. Corey Heim, it's been his day.
It's pretty much domination, isn't it?
Yes.
But he hasn't had anybody more than one car length behind him.
It doesn't matter how many you lead unless you lead that last one.
Right.
I'm telling you what, Daniel Dye is coming. He's making a lot of really good moves. It'll be interesting we're 6 to go nearly, or 6 to go now. So if you're going to make a move, you're going to have to do it. The problem is you have 3 Venturini cars in the top 5, and they're probably going to stick with each other. So it's going to take a Tim Richmond or a Sean Core to go up there with Daniel Dye to really make that move work.
Corey Heim, by the way, remember, he's not running full-time. He's only running the 4 super speedway races that Jesse Love isn't old enough to run.
Oh, another great save right there by
25, Tony Breininger, yes, pushed out of the way. She saves it. Drew Dollar in the 18 goes by. Drew's got a lot of tape hanging off the nose of his car.
Go up to the middle.
Tony has had her hands full and has done a great job here. It's still in contention, too, up in the top 10.
Let's listen to the 20.
Point 15 is losing fuel pressure, just so you know. If we lose our helpy, that's why. 27 is our friend. 27 is our friend.
They said the 15 of Parker Chase losing fuel pressure here, and he's been his partner all day long.
Yeah, they pitted on lap number 23, but we felt like with all the caution laps, they should be fine.
Yeah, we thought everybody would be good. And one thing for Corey, if Parker Chase does run out of fuel, it's going to stack up that lane. And it's going to let Corey have a huge lead, and it'll just have a huge run to him that'll be hard to defend. And this might bring out a caution. I'm not sure. Hopefully he'll get back.
About right here, we got a car stalled on the apron of turn 4 right here.
That one will for sure bring out a caution.
Well, that's going to mix it up here with the double wide restarts.
Yeah, for sure. And we're still 4 wide back here coming to caution. But, yeah, Daniel Dye, he was going to make that interesting at the end. I was curious to see if Tim Richmond or Sean Core jumped up there. We heard on the radio about how Tim Richmond was the friend of the 20. But if I'm Tim Richmond, I'm going for the win.
He's riding nice and smooth so far. We've just got a handful of laps left. We'll go green once again after this.
I'm really looking forward to the super speedways. Daytona and Talladega have really always been my favorite tracks. When I first got to race on them for the first time, I knew that I'd like them every single time I showed up.
Bigger tracks that I haven't had experience on, that's a little bit tougher, but I felt like just the learning and trying to study and ask questions and learn the car, and just there's a lot of things that you got to keep working at. The more you move up, the tougher it gets.
The track that I'm most excited for is Daytona and Talladega. I know Venturini Motorsports has really amazing super speedway cars, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. And I'm going back to some of the tracks that I'm familiar with.
They're always a fun time to go to, and I think it's just cool to have your friends and family watch those races specifically.
And you hear just how special it is to race here at Daytona for so many of these drivers, some for the first time and others getting to take it in for a second time, like our leader, Corey Heim. Well, we've been talking about Tim Richmond running third. Something's up with that roof number. What is wrong in that picture?
Well, it's an all-volunteer crew, and they probably didn't realize that the number is actually supposed to face to the inside, and they put the number on backwards. And I think they got by with it all week. You noticed it. They told you, please don't mention it till the end of the race because we don't want to get black flagged for the 27.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Out of gas, so refire. Oh, won't refire.
Oh,
man, that is devastating.
Man. Such a good car for him. Such a good day going, was third right as we start talking about him.
You know, we talk about them having enough fuel, but the problem is you got to make sure you can get every ounce out of that fuel. Make sure the pickup's in the right place. You have an all-volunteer crew. You never know if maybe that pickup has moved a little bit. maybe
There's
didn't
a
get
lot
the
of
full.
things,
There's
for
a lot
sure.
of things that could happen, but what a horrible break. But nonetheless, what a great job Tim Richmond and his team did here.
Yeah, he showed that they deserve to be here,
Absolutely.
and that was super cool. And going back to his roof number, I've painted some of my own cars on iRacing. I've made the same mistake. So
You just don't see things like that. Let's listen to the 29.
Reach down hard, get what we can get here. It's going to be green and white together here. It's going to be like a knife fight in a phone booth here. We're going to have to be heads up and do what you can do here.
And that's Sean Corr running 4th right now.
Sean's good at this racetrack. He has 3 top 5s in his career here.
What did he say? Nice and calm like a phone booth?
a knife fight in a phone booth.
There's Tony right on his rear bumper.
She's ready to go here.
Yeah, push, Tony, push.
So do the Venturini cars, they do a teammate start right here, or
Well,
you
I
just
don't
race it
know.
out? I think they're going to do the teammate start since Corey took the top, but be interesting.
Shannon Rush right there, crew chief for Corey Heim.
Corey Heim on the outside. Green and white in the air. Final lap.
Sean Corr trying to shove his way down to the inside, couldn't quite do it.
We had some contact in the front there.
There's Daniel Dye moving by Sean Corr. There's Tony being pushed by Drew Dollar.
She's trying to keep it locked on that yellow line, staying on the bottom, staying in line. Tony Breidinger right now in the 4th spot, and there's contact. Drew Dollar hard into the wall.
I think her and Tony got together there.
Big hit for Drew Dollar.
We're going to race this one out, it looks like.
Caution is not out yet. It's so far away to the backstretch.
Here he comes. It's been his day. He has absolutely dominated. Corey Heim does it at Daytona.
It's absolutely dominated today from the very get-go.
What a perfect day for that 19-year-old from Marietta, Georgia.
Good to see that window net down.
Yeah.
That was a rough hit there down the back straightaway.
Absolutely head on.
Drew Dollar quiet all day. Huge hit on the final lap. Now, guys, he's got to put himself together, jump in that Xfinity car coming up right after this.
What a dominating performance. So as you mentioned, Chase led 74 of our 80 laps.
Shannon Rush just pumping his fist. What a day for them.
What another day. Just an amazing day for Venturini Motorsports. They just show time after time again how good they are at Daytona and these plate races.
See what happened here on the final lap with the 18 and the 25.
He's helping Tony there. Looks like he's giving her a really good push. Maybe just got off centered a little bit. Yeah, just got off centered, and then when she checked up, came back up into him, and it turned him obviously in the wrong direction. Luckily, didn't get hit by anybody else.
How that didn't collect another car is unbelievable. We've had a lot of heads-up driving all day long.
Another good save by Tony.
Yeah, yeah.
She could own the sweet moves of the race, all of them.
I was going to say
all 3 of them. All 3. Yeah, all 3 possibilities.
I think it's a USAC background, the open wheel.
Yeah.
I think that's where it all came from.
There he is, your race winner. Venturini Motorsports in their 40th year of competition. They're so dominant.
There was
here.
a lot of action, but it was all behind Corey Heim. He didn't see any of it because he was leading this thing just about the whole time.
There's that beautiful drone shot.
Gonna go get the flag.
5 in a row for Venturini Motorsports here.
You know what he gets in victory lane besides a trophy?
Gets the big kiss from Bill.
Yes, sir. Bill Venturini, talked to him yesterday, cancer-free.
That's awesome.
Living his best life back at the racetrack, and now he gets to go to victory lane once again.
And 3 cars in the top 5. Remember how much damage Gustine had. Came back to a 5th place finish.
Oh, wow.
And Parker Chase, the IMSA driver, just perfect today.
Solid, absolutely.
Second from start to finish of this race. Even had a little scare there. Fuel pressure went down. Great crowd on hand for this ARCA Menards Series race today here at Daytona. Look at that.
What a great shot.
Hopefully it doesn't tear the grass up. I don't think they like that too much here.
It's pretty grass.
It is pretty neat.
Corey Heim flying that Venturini flag. We'll see him in a lot of Truck Series races for Kyle Busch Motorsports this year. Be sharing the truck with Kyle Busch.
No pressure there.
No pressure at all. There's Goat, my cameraman for all the races, getting all the action.
What a nice job. But a lot of that's good equipment too.
Absolutely, but it still takes execution, right? And Venturini does it year after year. They just show that they work together. And like I said earlier, you see the Cup teams do it, and there's a reason we do it now.
What time is it? I think he was pointing to his watch. What time is it? Heim time.
That's the most laps led by an ARCA winner since 2006. Bobby Gerhardt.
Denise Engel, the flagger, gives him his checkered flag to take home.
And Corey was 3 years old, by the way, when that happened in 2006.
You just had to throw that in there.
That makes
Kids
me feel
out
old.
here. That flag in there. Look at that drone shot. Just beautiful. Look at the sky.
How about the crowd we had here today? We know it's sold out tomorrow for the Daytona 500. It'll be super cool, but always cool whenever you come to Daytona for whatever series is. That looks like Kate's down there with our winner.
Corey Heim coming to Daytona, growing up as a birthday gift from his dad, and now he's a two-time winner at Daytona. Corey, you led 74 laps. How did you stay focused that race?
Yeah, I mean, my team made it easy on me. You know, we're building this really fast custom tools Camry, and, you know, I had great teammates help me all through the way. So, yeah, first race for Crescent. That's awesome. We got him straight in victory lane, so I couldn't be happier.
You really helped Venturini Motorsports out with 5 in a row. How important was that team chemistry, especially as we talked all week long, that was what was going to be the trick?
Yeah, Venturini Motorsports, most organized team out here, obviously, and, you know, Toyota Racing's helped me get here. Crescent Tools, as I mentioned before, just everybody's really just all put together for this race, and it worked out.
I'd say it worked out for Corey Heim after last night's truck race, coming home to victory lane here for Venturini Motorsports. Congratulations, Corey Heim.
Thank you, Kate. Great job by him. 8-time winner now in the ARCA Menards series. He was the leader with his team, and it worked out. They worked with him and brought him home to victory. We'll have plenty more. We'll hear from our finishers after this. We have some great contenders here for the Reese's Sweet Move of the race, and here they are.
That was just one of many for her.
Yeah, Tony really did a nice job saving that car on multiple occasions.
Amber Balkin missing this big wreck, and that was the only miss that she had. We had the one on pit road as well.
There's Scott Melton right there, Brian Doza getting together. Nice save by the 57 of Brian Doza.
Well, you can vote starting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Vote for Reese's Sweet Move of the race. Go to ARCA_racing to cast your vote. Let's check in with Josh.
Parker Chase takes the 15 car home second place here today. What more did you need at the end there?
I think we just needed a little bit of help behind us. You know, the objective here today was to have a Venturini car win, and we succeeded at that and put it 5 in a row for Venturini, which is incredible. So that was the main objective. You know, a Venturini car won obviously with Corey, and that's what we came here to do.
First start here for you on the oval at Daytona. How was the experience, though?
Yeah, it's crazy. I've done 2 24 hours, and I've raced here on the road course 4 years in a row. So I like to say I know this place, but it's the first time on my oval, first time on the oval for me. So it was fun, you know, running in the pack, just having somebody push you and learning somebody talking in your ear nonstop is completely new to me. Well, at a super speedway level. So it was a good time and ready to get going on the next one.
Good start to the season for Parker Chase. Kate?
A good start for Parker Chase indeed, but also Daniel Dye. He came away with a clean car and a 3rd place. Congratulations. How much did that rank on your expectations for yourself coming into Daytona?
That's pretty good to get this Halifax Health Solar Fit GMS Chevrolet out of here clean. You know, to finish 3rd, we're points racing this year, so I think there's 37 cars that were racing this race, and to be in the top 5 and finish 3rd clean is a really good start to our year. I'm just proud to be here, a part of this GMS team with Mr. Gallagher and Mr. Beam, and just everybody at the organization has worked really hard on this car. Chad's been a great help to me. Chad Bryant and Derek Nealon on the spotter stand kept me out of trouble today. So it's so cool. I've lived in Daytona my whole life. I've watched a million races here. To finally be able to do it, it was pretty surreal. And to not be involved in the big one, I'm not sure if there was one, but to not be involved in it and come out of here clean was pretty good.
You mentioned living close here to Daytona, 19 miles away, actually. In fact, you go to high school. How special is it for your friends, for your family, to be able to support you here?
Yeah, I mean, it's super cool for our family. My dad has a couple businesses here, and for my family, my grandpa just passed away a couple weeks ago, and he's the reason our family fell in love with racing. He came to the Daytona 500 50 years in a row, starting in 1969. So we have him and my cousin Luke riding on the car. To get him out of here clean and know that they are watching over me is really cool for our family and just all my friends. It's awesome.
Congratulations, Daniel, on your first Daytona. Josh?
Well, Sean Corr comes home 4th here at Daytona in a very special paint scheme. Can you talk about that first?
Absolutely. Bob was really important to our team. He'd always be there to help us with any questions we had with setups. He gave us a lot of really great setups for here at Daytona. I think this may even be one of his notes that we set the car up with tonight, and it's an honor to be able to pay tribute to a great man. He was just so great to ARCA. We were able to trailer down his last car he ran in Michigan. His Chrysler's over in the fan zone there, so anybody down here definitely go check it out. And I just got to thank my team, everybody over at Empire Racing. They set up an amazing car for me today, and I hope we made Bob proud today. And I got to thank all my sponsors, Nesco Bus, Winnebago for coming on board, making it a tribute car with having a Winnebago car, and Suffolk Transportation Services out of Long Island. So without these guys, we couldn't have been here today. So thank you, guys.
And Sean, you had to battle. I know you guys had some issues, some miscommunication on the pit, still got back top 5. Can you let me know just what this whole experience was like today for your team?
It was great. We always come back. We're always strong here at Daytona. And I'm looking forward to Talladega for sure. And it's really great to come home with a great finish for our team. I really hope. I'm just so proud for our guys. I'm so proud for our team.
All smiles from Sean Corr after a 4th place finish. Kate?
Well, Gustine has the dirtiest car here in the row here, but you still made it up here in the top 5. Gus, what does that say about you as a driver, the car itself, and Venturini Motorsports?
You know, I think it just says as a team, you know, as a whole, we all work together and we don't give up till the last lap. We got a little tied up there on pit road. That got us on that outside line a little bit too far back from our teammates. And then we just had some unfortunate instances. I guess it was miscommunication with some spotters. The caution came out. We checked up. They didn't. That got us a little bit of damage, but, you know, as long as you're tucked up behind another car, that doesn't matter too much. So we stayed fighting, and, you know, a few cars getting squirrely, getting antsy, trying to go a little bit too early. We were able to catch a few more positions, and then that final wreck on the backstretch there, we were just lucky enough to miss it and come out with a 5th.
So you had a little bit of luck there on your side, but you also stayed mentally strong. How'd you do it?
You know, I've been here a lot of times, and I've led laps here. Excuse me. I've been in the top 3 on the last lap, I think 4 times without a front fender, one or the other. So I know that this place, above all else, you know, it's really not over until it's over. So you just have to keep that mentality and keep focused, keep driving till the checkered flag comes out.
Well, congratulations on the top 5 and his 6th Daytona start. Jamie?
Well done, Kate Osborne, Josh Sims. I love hearing from all those drivers, getting their reactions on the day. We'll wrap things up from Daytona on the other side. There it is, the trophy in victory lane. That's what it's all about. Hoist that thing. Corey Heim gets it done today. Some highlights from today's race. We had a little bit of everything.
Eric Caudell brought out the first caution flag with a spin over in turn number 3.
One of the mini saves here by Tony Breidinger.
Still brought it home 9.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Great job. Jason Kitzmiller crowds Nick Sanchez and gets into him, gets into the outside wall. Will Kimmel got
this was the first of 2 wrecks and that 1 wreck. Yeah. This one was a little while later, but yeah, this is the one that took out Andy J. Gustine got some damage, and Greg Van Alst.
Yeah, and both of those guys with great recoveries, Gustine and Andy J. for top 6 finishes.
Last lap right here. Drew Dollar to the outside of the 25 and straight into the wall. And the man who was fastest all day kept it up front, dominated Corey Heim.
That's his 37th career start, and he's had one finish in his career outside of the top 10, and that was an 11th.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
A lot of last year's results got overshadowed because he was racing Ty Gibbs, who was just exceptional. Here's our Lucas Oil 200 driven by General Tire results.
We talked about the top 5. Andy J. recovered from that incident.
Dave Mader, 8th.
Dave
Tony
Mader,
Bringer, 9th.
Mason Diaz, first time here at Daytona with a top 10 finish.
Mason Diaz wasn't even supposed to be in the race, but he ran so well at the test, they said, you know what, we're going to make it happen. And he made it happen.
Raja just outside of the top 10. Good start to the season for him.
Unfortunate. Tim Richmond had such a good run going, ends up 18th.
Had a problem with fuel, and you saw Nick Sanchez had a decent run and had a tire rub earlier. Let's check in with Kate.
Standing here with what may have been the crowd favorite of Tim Richmond. Congratulations to you and your team for showing what this car can do. What were you out to prove today?
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, a new car to us, new team, kind of getting everything pieced together. We weren't sure if this car would run draft, so we were glad we were able to prove ourselves. I mean, it was a good piece. We just come up short there at the end.
I'd say, but you know what? The coolest part about all of this is looking behind us and seeing your entire team celebrating a little bit of a win for you. Congratulations. Josh?
And I'm here with Tony Brininger, comes home with a top 10 finish in your first start here at Daytona, getting a strong push on that final lap. Can you bring me through the end of the race?
Yeah, I mean, end of the race, I felt like we were in decent position. We got caught up some stuff a little bit, and I feel like we weren't really exactly where we needed to be. I kind of wanted to be up by my teammates to help them out. But I feel like we had a decent run, and we just had one car kind of try to clear himself to the bottom. We all kind of just got jacked up there and got a little loose on that restart, but still got a top 10. It's in one piece, better than what most people can say, so it's all right.
Still a strong start to the finish, or a strong start to the season, that is, for Tony.
Thanks, Josh. And Tony Brininger, remember, she's running full-time, so good points day to kick things off for sure. World Center of Racing. Remember, we have ARCA races all finished. He's our winner right there. We'll have Xfinity. More from Daytona after this.